Did you know that a plant-based diet can give you enough protein? And not only that, sometimes it can even give you too much protein. Well, today we're going to make dishes that have just the right amount of protein for you to be able to have what you need with all ingredients that are plants. So we're gonna make two dishes that can be used or served as main dishes, or they can be combined into one big, delicious, and very complete meal. So what we're going to make today is a nut roast and a quinoa salad with a delicious fresh dressing. First, we're going to start with a nut roast, and for that, we need the following ingredients. 1 pound mushrooms, 1 finely grated carrot, 1 white onion, finely chopped as well, 1.5 cup ground walnuts, 3 stalks of celery, finely chopped, 1/2 cup of tomato sauce, 1.5 cup or 1/4 cup soy sauce rather, and just a little bit of salt to season if we need to. And then we're going to be using some corn flour as well. So those are the ingredients, simple, accessible enough. And when we make this mixture to turn it into a roast, it's just absolutely incredible how all the flavors combine and come together, and it gives us a delicious and succulent dish. So let's start. Here we have a processor, a food processor, which is quite useful for this dish. And what we're going to do here is to put our mushrooms that are already previously washed. I haven't peeled them because they were quite fresh and clean, so I only washed them this time. If you see that the mushrooms are a little bit too dirty or they might be a little bit old, maybe you want to peel them. But in this case, we just have them washed, and they will go straight into our food processor, like this. The food processor will turn our mushrooms into, well, they will get very, very finely chopped, but also they will turn into almost a paste. Since we can't fit all of them in the first time that we put them in, we're just gonna start processing them first, the ones that we can, and then we're gonna add the rest. Let me see if we can get this locked. We did that. Now we're going to process them. Usually it takes a few minutes. We have to be patient until they start getting processed or finely chopped there in the processor. But it usually works very wonderfully. It doesn't matter what kind of processor you have, as long as it's one that can, has a blade that can chop things. So let's try to help it out a little bit right here. Let me get a spoon, and we're going to press them down, push them down, and now we're gonna have enough room to add the rest of the mushrooms. On the meantime, while this process, I'm going to turn on the stove, and we're going to start sauteing some of the ingredients to get a nice, rich base of flavor for our nut roast. So let's start doing that as well as we process the mushrooms. There you go. All right, let's see how that goes. Now we're talking. I don't know if you can see how brown the mixture is turning. And that's what makes this roast so wonderful and perfect, because they will have this rich brown color, and the mushrooms just give the best flavor to so many types of foods. And the great thing about it, the wonderful thing about it, is that people that usually don't like mushrooms, they won't even know that this loaf has them, but they will just love it because it has this rich, delicious flavor, like depth of flavor. And the mushrooms are highly responsible for that. So that's why it's a great idea to use mushrooms in this dish in case that you don't like mushrooms. You will see that this way you will like them. All right, the stove is pretty hot, the pot. We're going to be putting some olive oil And we're going to be putting our onions right away to start sauteing them with our celery and carrots and garlic. Hopefully you have the carrots very, very finely grated, or as fine as you can, because they should help with getting some of the juices out, and that will just give it a better flavor and also better texture once you have everything mixed and you want it to turn into a loaf. Because the loaf, the idea is that you don't have it so chunky, but rather that it's kind of smooth in the way that it's made, and that way it won't like break down or loosen up when you want to slice it into when you want to serve it. All right, so let's saute these 3 ingredients. Like I told you, they're just so delicious. I'm going to have the garlic right here, and I'm going to mince them a little bit because the garlic is so important as well. If you don't have fresh garlic, you can use garlic powder, and that will work as well. Just as good, really. Except that fresh sometimes is just, it's kind of nice. It will give a better aroma and a little bit of deeper flavor. So the garlic is important. You maybe can use as well a garlic mincer or a garlic press, whatever you have. Here I have just this knife and the chopping board, but they work just as good. Just have to spend a little more time chopping it. So this way we can add the garlic into our mixture of vegetables that can also be a great base for a soup. In fact, most of the soups that I make, especially vegetable soups, sometimes with potatoes or sometimes with pasta or quinoa soup or just different ways you can make soups, this is a great starter, a great base. And it makes a wonderful broth as well. So you could actually make a broth with garlic, onion, carrots, and celery by putting them in big pieces into a big pot with water and just boil them up, and then you just have the broth. And that broth is incredible. It's basically vegetable broth that you can store in jars and use them for soups or stews or just so many different things. So there we go. We have the garlic pretty chopped. You can go as fine as you want. Because of time, I didn't chop it so fine, but hopefully it will cook down so that it doesn't stay so, a little chunky. You don't notice it. The idea is that hopefully you won't notice much of what's in this loaf because it should be nice and all cooked. I'm going to put the lid on the top to be able to help the steam cook it down, and they can get softer. The vegetables can get softer. If you can see, we have a pretty incredible paste here that is rich and brown, just perfect for our nut roast. We're going to be adding them to our pot with our veggies that are already simmering and nice and sauté. And this will be just the perfect addition to this loaf that will come together in a delicious way. All right. In the same processor, I'm going to blend or grind up our nuts now because the nuts need to be also ground up. So we're going to put them in here. It's okay that it has some mushrooms there. That's okay. We're going to be putting it all together anyway. So we're going to get them into a nice meal. All right, that was pretty quick because the nuts are very easy to process. And we're going to be adding them in here. This is what makes this dish so complete, so delicious, so perfect, and with a lot of protein because the nuts will add protein to our diet. And that's why it's important to incorporate them into our meals, into our dishes. Sometimes we just eat the nuts or the different seeds in the morning, with our cereal or as a snack. But by incorporating them into our dishes like this, we can make sure that we enjoy them in different ways and at the same time make good use of their nutrition and of their proteins and properties as well. So it's pretty great to use nuts. And this nut roast, of course, has its name because of the nuts. And the nuts are what gives this roast, this dish, a very delicious and particular flavor. As you can see, we didn't really use any type of oil, or we're not going to be using any type of oil, except for the beginning when we just saute the veggies. But the nuts already have natural fats that are more than enough for our dish. We're going to be adding now our tomato sauce and our seasonings, which include the soy sauce. I like the soy sauce because it gives it more depth of flavor than just the salt. A little bit of salt as well. You can taste, mix it all and taste and see if you are satisfied with the flavor, if you need more salt. It's really there up to your preferences. So this, as you can see, is pretty liquid. It's pretty juicy because of the mushroom especially that really lose up with a lot of their liquid. And that's why it's important to add something that will bind it up together. And we're going to be using this flour, which is corn flour, but the type that you get that is already pre-cooked. So that one, it works a lot better for this dish because it has a milder flavor than regular corn flour. And at the same time, it will be perfect to bind it up together and make it more firm so that when we put it in our baking dish, it will firm up. And when we bake it, it will come out as something that you can slice or take out in pieces, not like this mush or puree. So as you can see, we start cooking it and it starts thickening up right away. And this mixture is exactly what we need. As it thickens up, it turns into like this type of dough. And this dough is what we are going to be using to put into a baking dish and baking our delicious nut roast. So we're pretty much set here. I have a baking dish right here. I'm going to be putting the mix in it. As you can see, look how thick it turns. And that way, we put it in the oven. And later on, you will see the results of our nut roast. Okay, so now for our second protein-packed dish, we have this incredible salad. And we're going to be using these ingredients. We have here some carrots, tomatoes, quinoa, which is our star ingredient, and broccoli as well. Those two have protein, and also our garbanzo beans. But you can use any type of legume. We have peppers, parsley, red onions, olives, and of course, then we're going to make our delicious dressing to bring it all together, which has lemon juice, salt, olive oil, and a little bit of sweetener, which in this case, we're going to be using honey. So we take the ingredients. The quinoa has to be previously cooked. How do you cook quinoa? You actually cook it just like you would cook rice. That's the secret or the key to cooking quinoa, and it turning out nice and fluffy, as you can see here. You don't want it to be mushy or soggy. You want it to be very loose and fluffy as you would have with rice. So we take our quinoa. It's already been cooked and cooled off, and we're going to add it to our mixing bowl. And then we're going to be adding the rest of our ingredients, as much or as little as you want. It depends on what you like as well. You can even mix and match. You can do different things, add, take away, just make a salad with the dishes, or I'm sorry, with the vegetables that you like the most. But try to include protein in it. In this case, as I told you earlier, we have the broccoli and the chickpeas, but the quinoa in and of itself is an incredible source of protein because the quinoa is a complete protein. That's what happens with vegetarians or people that have a plant-based diet, is that they think, oh no, I'm not gonna have enough protein. But that's because they're not getting enough variety or mixing the different types of plants or plant food to be able to get the complete proteins. And that's why it's important to mix and include a variety of products and vegetables and legumes and grains and things like that. We have some olives as well. I love olives in my salads. But see, when you put it all together with whatever ingredients you like or have, you will have something as beautiful as this. Let's make our dressing to bring it all together. I have a blender here, and I like to do this dressing at home because it's just so much more fresh and very delicious rather than buying dressings that usually have vinegar. We like to use lemon juice instead of vinegar because it's so much healthier and it doesn't cause any type of irritation to our stomachs. Then I have some garlic, fresh garlic, and a bit of honey, just because the sweetener will add this depth of flavor. It won't make it sweet, but it will balance out the acidity of the lemon. So then we put some olive oil, and then this will emulsify and just turn into a delicious dressing. You can even add some fresh herbs or even dried herbs like basil or oregano, and it will come out delicious, even more delicious. We're gonna blend it up. Look how nice and creamy it turns. It's just so wonderful. And then we pour it onto our salad. Wow, I'm already getting my mouth watery because it just looks so good. And remember I told you in the beginning that you can even use this dish as a main dish. This is a whole meal in and of itself. We have parsley. You can also use cilantro, fresh cilantro, to add the greenness and the freshness and the flavor and the color and just make it absolutely perfect. Look at the beautiful ingredients coming together. You have different types of textures. Now, if you want to make this salad ahead for the next day, hold the dressing and hold the tomatoes. That way, you can make the rest, mix it up. It will hold perfectly because the rest of the ingredients are crunchy and hard. They're not going to get soggy. And then you can just put the dressing in a little jar, store it in a little jar, and you can make this salad ahead of time. It's also a great type of lunch that you can take with you to work. And then you just add the dressing before you eat it, mix it up, and enjoy. So look at the beautiful colors. Now, we're going to check our loaf, our nut roast, rather, that is in the oven. So we made this roast before, and it's pretty ready, a little bit hot. So I'm going to dump it out here on this dish, because we made it into the shape of a loaf. You can either do this, or you can do what we did before, just put it in a baking dish and cutting it out and scooping it out of there. Or you can do this to make it look pretty when you serve, and that way you can even decorate it around with something pretty. And as you can see, you can slice it quite nicely to serve on that plate and have this wonderful meal that is just loaded with nutrients and with protein. We have here a little server. We're going to bring it over here to our plate. And as you can see there, we have our loaf, nice and firm, with some salad on the side. You have just a complete meal that has everything you need for a healthy body and a happy, happy belly. Not to mention happy taste buds, of course. So here we go, a full loaded, protein-packed, plant-based meal. Enjoy.